Welcome, my name is Ross Clark, the Mindful Coach. I'm an MBSR trainer, a graduate of 2001 at the University of Massachusetts. So what I'm really interested in is an approach to stress reduction, anxiety reduction that is quite accessible and is very effective. So this is going to be just a little micro course today, and our topic is anxiety reduction, and all this information is going to be available online. The training will be online, so there'll be no need to go anywhere for any training. And today's talk is going to be on objective noting. So the learning goals are to introduce objective noting, to explain what subjective thinking is and what objective noting is, and how to practice objective noting, and then there'll be a brief summary. Now, subjective thinking is thinking that's based on our opinions, our emotions, and our personal feelings. So it's very subjective. And the part about that, it's not that it's a bad thing, but it can become habitual, and there can be too much of it. So one of the risks is if we're not mindful and paying attention to our thoughts and emotions and how our body feels, once we start the cycle of thought and emotion, over time, this would be 10 minutes, there's going to be more thoughts, stronger emotion results in more thoughts about the emotional content. And then after an hour, there can be just a huge amount. We think about 60,000 thoughts per day. So and 3/4 of those tend to be negative. So we can see there's a potential here for a lot of negativity, and that's not really our fault. But we do have this gift where if we become aware of them, then we can make a choice as to what to do about them. So rather than staying in this thought, emotion, anxiety, worry cycle hour after hour, then what we can do is we recognize it. We recognize our language. Our language will tell us whether we're using some subjective thinking or not. So I am is a strong indicator of subjective thinking. I am anxious, I am a mess, etc., etc. Now, the objective noting is completely different. Noting is short, so whenever we use noting, it's very, very short. And noting is not influenced. It's just bare bones. So it's not influenced by opinions, emotions, or personal feelings. So when we have that, we can shift our attention to the posture of the body. So one way that we could work with that is using there is, that's the keyword phrase, there is anxiety. And then there is the posture of the body, coming back home into this present moment. There is anxiety. And again, coming back to this present moment, maybe by listening to sound. Sound is always in the present moment, and it's pretty much always available to us. So it could be there is anxiety, there is sound. So what we have done is we have broken this emotional, anxious thought loop that is characteristic, and as we know, that's the challenge. It's our thoughts. The thoughts won't stop, and it just gets very, very difficult at times. So we have different levels of practice. So the informal practice is just to start, just naming it. So in your day-to-day walkabout, if you notice your stomach getting tight or sensations in your throat that are feeling uncomfortable, chest, so it's just there is anxiety without the extra self-referencing, without the, I don't know what I'm going to do about this, what's happening, I don't know, should I go and see the doctor about this? Yes, those are all choices, but if we just ruminate with that, it's going to actually produce more anxiety. So just to have it very bare and short, there is anxiety. So that can be done on an informal walkabout basis. Now, formal practice, when we have times where we're not going to be disturbed and we just want to have some quiet time, we can work with that. So we name it. We just sit quietly and we name it. There is anxiety. And then we can tame it. So what we're doing with taming it is this thought substitution. We're taking those thoughts that would have gone into, poor me, I am so anxious, I am so messed up. We can substitute those thoughts for something true, because there is nothing wrong with anxiety. We all have it. So that's true. There's nothing hocus pocus about that. There's nothing wrong with feeling anxiety. So actually the anxiety is something to teach us, something to learn from. That's why it's there. But we want to be safe before we get caught up in those stress loops. So that would be a formal practice. Now, a more advanced practice, and this would be the third step. The third step, what its purpose is to reduce the future anxiety, where steps 1 and 2, those will work well just to release and relieve like the present anxiety. And it may take 15 to 20 minutes, because the parasympathetic nervous system takes time for it to come back into control. So this here is to reduce the future anxiety. So every time I see Bill, I feel anxious. So that's for something to work on. It's not that there's anything wrong with Bill, but what we do is we name the anxiety. There is nothing wrong with anxiety, and may my anxiety be well. So once we can be with the anxiety in an open-hearted way, then we often find, so now I understand. Okay. And when we understand, then that will stop the stress loops forming and the rumination, which will be generating our anxiety. So in summary, subjective thinking causes more anxiety. Objective noting, those short little notes, reduces anxiety. And practice makes the difference. So the theme in mindfulness is practice, practice, practice. So if you'd like to have more information, we are putting together a website. The website is anxietyreduction.org, and you can contact me at themindfulcoach@gmail.com if you have any questions or would like to know about when the material will be coming out. What we want to do is we want to provide a simple little online program that is going to be free. We just want to give back and to be there to support others in their in that anxiety that we all share. So thank you for your interest.